This particular announcement is not really good news. I don't think we can really take this as good news. It's actually a bad news announcement. But basically, earlier this month, just over a week ago, WeFunder told us that they spoke to the bank that essentially supports their platform, and their bank decided not to carry our equity crowdfund. So what that means is the WeFunder campaign is going to end, and anybody who has invested in it so far, we do have two different types of investors. One is investors who have put money into an escrow on WeFunder, and that money has been held there. The other category is investors who have not invested into the escrow. They basically just made a reservation, which has been like you have no liability to fulfill that. So, so for those of you who have put money into escrow, you can go into WeFunder and request that your escrow be removed. We can probably request to them to have this done automatically, but if you already have money in that escrow, you can go in and you should be able to do that manually. Let us know if you need any help. This is obviously our first time doing this, so we don't know what you might encounter, so we'll help you along if we can. So real quickly, let me go over the reason that WeFunder's bank decided not to carry a project. They've told us that it's because we plan to create our own cryptocurrency. So their bank does not support that. Their bank does not support people creating their own cryptocurrency. I don't mean this to be ironic. It's what they've told us. Now, creating our own cryptocurrency does not pose any legal risk. There are other restrictions around cryptocurrency, like in order to have like a cryptocurrency exchange, you need to have a license. Also, to give away to make people pay to get early access to tokens, like an ICO, you need a license. So we're not even ICOing our coins or anything like that. We're selling NFT art as a gamified NFT art, but that is we don't see any of that being a risk. So besides that, their bank said that the problem was that we plan to create our own cryptocurrency, and so we've asked our WeFunder coordinator if the bank would consider appeal. Our coordinators told us that they will not favor an appeal, so we're not going down that route. So we are looking at creating another crowdfund on either Start Engine or Republic. It's something we're looking at. Obviously my preference would be that we have something ready for you guys, that we would end this campaign, and then if you want to invest in us, you'd be able to invest in that other platform that would be already available. Unfortunately, it takes time to get these things up and running, and so we're starting in that process right now. So for some of you, you have been with our community for a while. You may be our void keepers, some of our earliest supporters. If you were investing in the equity crowdfund, we essentially have all your information or emails, and you're already basically on our emailing list for updates about the fundraising campaigns. If that doesn't sound like you, and you're someone who's listening to this, or you're in here in the amphitheater right now with us, and you're like, hey, well, I want to know when are you guys going to open up your next crowdfund? I don't want to miss it. You can do one of two things. A couple of things. You can go on to blockchainkingdoms.com. We have a link to our mailing list, so we send out all of our big notifications on our mailing list. And so you can sign up for that there, and you'll hear about our next refunder, or not a refunder, but our next equity crowd fundraise. And if you are, another way to do it is you can go to blockchainkingdoms.com/contact and just send us a personal message over the contact. There's also a link at the top of our homepage for that. If you want to make sure that you've done your diligence and making sure that you get those emails, no matter what, you can send us an email directly, and we'll put you on a hot list for people who want to invest. Now, I know that some of our investors have committed equity into the WeFunder escrow for a couple of months now, and I recognize that that is money that could have been invested elsewhere in the meantime. So the next time we do hold an equity crowd fund, we want to make sure that we consider that there's an ability for you to get early benefits. Now, all these crowdfund raising platforms are different, so it's going to kind of depend on what that equity crowdfund platform makes possible. But definitely, we want to make sure anyone who had money in that escrow for that period of time, that we can find extra benefits for them, or the best benefits for them in investing, because we really appreciate their support in being our investors, our first investors, and so we expect the next fundraise that we do hold is going to be in the same under the same terms. And it's still something that we need to talk about. Our games are still under development. We're working on 5 versus 5 Arena and the card platform, and this does look like a setback. And the way I look at it is that there's going to be bumps in the road of any business, and we learn from it. We had this WeFunder up and running. I had our WeFunder coordinator, Audie, who's been working with us since almost this time last year. I first reached out to him, it must have been like May or June of last year. He got assigned to us, and he was like, all right, great, so here's the plan. Like, why don't you start like a small non-equity crowd fund, create a following, and we've done that. And then once you have your following big enough and you think you're ready, let's do the actual equity crowd fund. So you may be wondering, like, how did it get to this point where we had a WeFunder strategy for a year, and now a year later, after we've already raised $77,000 on their platform, that they're suddenly saying, actually we can't because our bank said no. And I take full responsibility for this. I don't see ourselves as victims. I'm responsible for this company. And Josh is my partner, and I created this company, and I take full responsibility for the things that go wrong. And so looking back, we could have asked ourselves, what's the worst case scenario? Is there something about our business that they would decide that they don't support? And we could have done some due diligence in making sure that happened. I think that's just going to make us better in the long term. I've definitely learned something in this experience, and the next time we go to an equity crowd fund, we can work with them and make sure that this doesn't happen again, that we don't put all this time and effort into something that does not work out. So we're still working hard every day on this business, and I appreciate everyone's support and all of our investors, and everyone who's been here since the beginning as well, and our new investors who have recently come on board. So this particular platform that we're using is new. I will be able to take questions. It'll be my first time doing it, so you might have to kind of bear with me as we get that up and running. But I'm also going to turn it over to Josh to see whatever comments he might have, anything that he wants to say, and maybe anything that he thinks that I've left out so far.
Thanks, Robert. You did a pretty good job. It's a bum deal no matter how you slice it, unfortunately. They really pulled the rug out on us. Crowdfunding had been going on for a week and a half before they all of a sudden decided to change their tune. And I know that there may be at least one or two people who are in here going, well, why didn't you tell us the same day they told you? So I did want to just cut that question off at the beginning and just answer it for you. Is we were hopeful that we could appeal to them, and we were trying to get explanations for why. So we spent a couple of days, and sometimes um, some of these people don't necessarily respond to emails extremely quickly. So it took a couple of days of back and forth for us to try and figure out why they canceled us, and to figure out if there was any chance that we could, show them, that we were everything we were doing is very legal, very acceptable, and everything we are doing is very by the book. But banks are private entities, and they it's just like if you go to a restaurant, they reserve the right to refuse anybody, and unfortunately, they decided to execute that against us. So that's a huge bummer, but we are chugging forward, full steam ahead as best as we possibly can. And I know Robert's done a pretty good job, so there's not a whole heck of a lot for me to add to that. But so one thing I did want to just really briefly mention is that it's not all bad news. We are still moving forward with our game. We've talked about it being kind of a MOBA team arena game. That is still moving forward. We haven't had any setbacks on that. Um, Hopefully we'll get the crowdfunding going, and so we won't in the future have any setbacks on that either. But we do have some really good concept art that is in the process. It's just getting started to be turned into 3D models and animations for characters. So when we're done here, take a look at the announcement channel. We'll do a brief recap of everything we said for anybody who didn't listen, and we'll also be sharing a little bit of information about the game and some really cool concept art. I know some of our Void Keepers may have seen some previews, but there should still be at least a little bit to see.
Great, thank you, Josh. So I do want to say something real quick for some of the people who are on our Void Keeper channel. The other day we threw out the idea of, hey, what do you guys think about a possible Kickstarter? To be honest, I'm still not sure about that. It's something we were talking about, looking at the possibility. But I went on the Kickstarter the other day, and I noticed that there's only like 14 campaigns that have video games on there, and they really haven't raised much. I don't know if that means that the Kickstarter fundraising is dead with video games. It's not my first preference, but especially if you're listening right now, then it's probably good for you to know some other challenges that we face with our company. Is we've actually faced a lot of challenges around advertising. So advertising has always been very difficult for us, just because we are a crypto-based company. Every time we mention crypto on any of our ads, like they start to get rejected, and Facebook also. Facebook has basically stopped allowing us to put up like ads for our WeFunder campaign. They've requested that we have to have a cryptocurrency license to even basically have an ad for a WeFunder campaign, which I don't think that's accurate at all. But we're trying to send messages through the WeFunder. I'm sorry, the Facebook website, and they just don't seem to be coming eye to eye with us on that. They think that we need to have a cryptocurrency license, and I just don't think that's true. Not at this stage. I mean, at some stage it will be. We would like to have our own exchange one day, but we don't even have our own cryptocurrency yet. We're just fundraising for a company. But a lot of companies are very gun shy around crypto, and I think the bottom line when it comes to crypto is I was listening to an interview with the SEC chairman the other day, and he was saying that they're fine with people investing in crypto. They like competition in the market. What they want to make sure is that everyone has full disclosures when they invest. And that is why a lot of ICOs were in trouble back in the day, is because they were selling things as securities with no risk disclosures, and that's just the way I look at it. Is that everyone keeps wondering, are NFTs money laundering and all this other negative stuff and thoughts that happen out there around cryptocurrency, and I think the way the government sees it is you're responsible for the money that you take in and out of the regulated exchanges. And if you're going into some place to get your cryptocurrency laundered for dollars, that happens whether or not cryptocurrency exists, anyways. I mean, this is my own personal opinion about those things. Is I think the fear around crypto is unwarranted, and it can be abused. The same thing as anything else can be abused. But I just don't. I just would. I don't want to go research too much into the money laundering techniques of people trying to avoid taxes and things like that. I just know that everyone's kind of responsible for reporting what they owe the government. And if you're someone like us who one day will have essentially an exchange, well, then we'll be responsible for our part of it. So I believe that we're fully compliant right now. And what we're facing are just challenges to what's in the crypto space. And a lot of these companies, the Facebooks and the WeFunders of the world and their banks, instead of taking any kind of risk at all, they would rather take no risk whatsoever. And that's their stance. I respect anybody's decision to operate their business in a way that is stand up, and if they choose not to partner with us, well, then that's their choice. And we'll do our due diligence in the future to to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And so those are my general thoughts. I probably talked a little bit too much myself now, so I'm going to go ahead and open this up to questions. I believe you can request to speak, and if you have a microphone plugged in, and I'll be able to take your questions here in the amphitheater.
I just opened up the ability for everyone to request to speak. So if anybody has a question,
Oh, I didn't know
I'm
that.
not a. I think you just right click yourself, maybe. I think there's a button at the bottom, maybe.
So any concerns that you might have, something you might, there we go,
Oh, and
Alexis.
if somebody would like to, somebody doesn't want to speak out loud, but they do have a question, you can just put it in the community chat channel, and we'll get to it in turn.
All right, I'm going to give Aleximus the stage here.
Hey guys,
Hey.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep, I
Aleximus.
hear you.
It's a little loud, but that's all right. Did you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, I just have a concern. So I understand what you're trying to do with uh, like the Kickstarter, like what your plans about it is basically getting more people to know about the company and stuff. So moving forward, because you also mentioned that Facebook, you're also getting like the ads are also getting blocked. I'm just wondering what are your future concern or strategies when it comes to like marketing itself, because at this stage I think it's like ideal for people to get to know the product more. And since basically it's a blockchain technology, there are a lot of skepticism even if you do get your company out to people. So I'm just wondering like what's your stance at this time when it comes to marketing and like getting your company out to people, so that in turn it will like you can generate more funds, and it's like better for the company overall.
Yeah, thank you, Leximus. That's a great question, and you just made me realize that when I was sharing that whole story about the Facebook ads, that was one of the reasons that we were thinking about the Kickstarter in particular, was because we could promote a Kickstarter purely as the game and not actually offer up any of the cryptocurrency aspects to it. So so um, I'm not sure we could raise anything more than like $40,000 on a Kickstarter based on what we have right now. We're going to have more coming in a couple of months, but in the short term, if we were to have a Kickstarter, we would basically have like some artwork up there. I think Josh, he wants to reveal some of the artwork to the entire community, and we'd be able to then use like Facebook ads and other things with the Kickstarter, and we just wouldn't mention anything crypto-wise. It would just basically be the game. So that was kind of a workaround we were looking at for the Kickstarter, and that's why we brought it up. Whether or not we go that route is still a matter of discussion. Now, knowing that might not happen, what are we going to do in terms of advertising in the short term and the medium term? We have our YouTube channel, and I've been seriously looking at doubling down on my the work that I do on the channel. Some of you know that like for a while there I was doing 2 to 3 videos a week, and that was going really well. We had a lot of new people coming in. It was part of my strategy for the WeFunder. Going to get a lot of people looking at us, people who invest in blockchain gaming, and then hold the WeFunder and give them an opportunity to invest in our company at the ground floor. And that, for the most part, went really well. And then you may have noticed I've been posting last couple of weeks because I didn't want to make a video without knowing what our next step was going to be. If WeFunder came back and they're like, yeah, well, if you guys get a lawyer and you have that lawyer talk to our bank, well, then maybe there's possibility to opening up the WeFunder, and that can actually get completed. But our coordinator has told us that he doesn't think that they're going to appeal. So he doesn't think it's worth our time to try to appeal that process. So with the marketing, the YouTube has done really well. We've probably created more audience from the YouTube channel than we have from some of our actual main ads. I don't think it's real one-to-one comparison. What I'd like about Facebook ads is you can specifically target certain things, and with YouTube it's more like who finds you. But I think we found a decent audience through YouTube, and I think there's a possibility if I doubled down on that, then we would get more and more eyes on it. I don't want my main job to be the YouTube, which is, I'll be open with you guys, is my main concern. I want my main concern to be scaling the company. I should be out there, because of the vaccine coming out, the vaccine that's out, there's going to be a possibility of me maybe then going to a convention and meeting other game developers, blockchain developers, and actually being able to network, which we haven't been able to do to great efficiency during COVID. And so with the marketing, I think there's a strong possibility I'm going to double down on the channel. I'm kind of rethinking the way that I brand the channel. If the channel is really going to become our main point of advertisements, I really want a strategy that follows that. So that strategy of how I present the channel, how I brand it, is something that's kind of ongoing. And I'd probably like to hear people's comments that either maybe not necessarily here right now in this chat. We were talking about trying to keep it as short as possible, especially for people who might be on the East Coast because it's almost 11 o'clock there. But if you have thoughts about should we make our channel bigger, let me know in the community chat. I'd like to know maybe possibly what you'd like to see in the channel. So does that answer your concerns about the marketing, Aleximus? Did you have any other concerns about that?
No, I'm good. I'll give the others chance to ask their questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. All right, I'm going to invite Jaren to speak here.
Just a quick question. Sorry for the background noise. It'll be done in just 1 minute. I'm walking by one of my trucks outside. How much do you think the WeFunder rejection had to do with all the new, we'll call them rug pull coins out on like the Binance Smart Chain and everything?
I couldn't say for sure. I will say I always thought it was really funny that WeFunder almost had no cryptocurrency projects on their pages. I was kind of going in and checking in on the WeFunder page for off and on, for a couple of years. And I always thought it was really strange they didn't have many cryptocurrency projects. And this might be why. Our WeFunder coordinator might not have really paid enough attention to us to realize that we were talking about creating our own cryptocurrency. I think that's a strong possibility. Or maybe he had never had a cryptocurrency project come under his supervision, and so he didn't know that that was going to be an issue. If you go onto the WeFunder website, they have like a Bitcoin mining thing, and I think they do have some other cryptocurrency projects on there, but I've noticed that they've never had many. So I mean, this is totally speculation on my part, but I speculate that either a WeFunder coordinator didn't have a lot of experience with cryptocurrency projects, so he didn't know to check, and or they just don't allow many on their website, so not many of them get through. So but yeah, I think there's probably something in his blind spot around the cryptocurrency and their bank. I don't know that for certain. It's possible that there's a lot of recent things that were essentially they, like you were saying, maybe they saw that there was there were some weird things going on with the Binance Smart Chain. But even then, I don't know what the deal is going to be with some of those. People have called them scam coins on the Binance Smart Chain. I've used that term a couple of times in our own personal chat, and I know it's probably not popular to talk about negative things when it comes to cryptocurrency. And I think that that's just one of the challenges that we're going to face as we build this business. And I think one day we're going to be at a point where people log into blockchain kingdoms, they play our video games, they earn, cash and cryptocurrency, and they exchange things, and no one's even going to bat an eye about legitimacy. It's because we're going to establish ourselves as a legitimate company in this space. We're staying compliant. We're going to work with compliance, and I think 5 or 10 years from now, people are going to have a hard time imagining the world without blockchain kingdoms in our job system. Do you have any other questions about that? Or
No, I mean, just other than, like I said earlier in the crypto chat, that my main issue with all these like scam coins, shit coins, whatever you want to say, call them, is they literally, and yes, that would be Doge included, because all the meme coins, we'll say meme coins, they delegitimize all the up and coming possible businesses, because they literally have zero use case. They are purely a celebrity hyped thing.
Yeah, I think we all kind of have opinions right now about the cryptocurrencies and the markets, and what's and the way I feel about it is that there's a million different stories for what any of these assets are, from equities to cryptocurrency to Dogecoin. Like, everything has its own story these days, and I think it's part of why we see so much volatility in the markets, is because everyone's kind of has a different story. Like, the story right now around equities is that inflation is coming, steel and wood are doubling and tripling in price, and even things like baked goods and flour going up by 15%, and then that starts to send the market in one direction. So I think there's always going to be stories about cryptos and what's legitimate, what's not. And in terms of our company, we're focused on persevering. We're focused on building our game. And, the more I look at this, the more I see the 5 versus 5 that we're building as a cornerstone of our business. because the cryptocurrency thing, our job system, is going to take time to proof and to show people so that they understand it and they see the potential in allowing gamers to create these job tokens and monetize the playing of video games. That's going to still take some time and education for people to understand, but our video game is going to be very clear value that people can see. They can be like, oh look, this is the game, it's fun, I understand it. People can play it. That's going to have a lot of value for our company. And whatever the story is around cryptos, we don't have any control over SafeMoon. We don't have any control over Dogecoin. We don't have any control over the stories of those either. I mean, heck, I could go into my channel, and if I wanted to sell the story that Dogecoin is, I can make up story anything. Either it's legitimate, I can fight for its legitimacy, I can fight for its illegitimacy. Whatever that story is just like the story about that particular thing. And I don't think the SEC has a problem with Dogecoin. I think if they did, they would have said something by now. I think it's another decentralized currency, and if you don't know what you're getting involved with the Dogecoin, I'm not even sure there's anybody who can be liable for that. But I guess what my point is that we're really focused on ourselves and the story that we're creating around our job system and our 5 versus 5 video game that Josh is taking the lead on developing with our company, with the AAA team that we're working with. That's our focus. We're going to focus on us and building the story that's going to empower our company. And what everybody else is going to do is whatever else anybody's going to do, and we're going to adapt. Anything else?
No, we're good.
All right, cool. I appreciate that so much, Jaron. Thank you for your question and coming on here on the stage. So that being said, there's actually another thing I wanted to talk about, which is the producer who is part of the company that is not a part of us. He's a part of a different company, and they're producing our AAA video game. He is actually leaving that company next week. So if you've seen our pitch materials, in the next week or so, you'll notice that he's probably going to disappear from our pitch materials because he'll no longer be with that company. He's moving on. That means we are probably going to have another producer come onto that team. So I just want anybody who's listening to this to understand that, like, if you see his face disappear and his name disappear from the pitch materials, it's just because he's moved on, and the company that we're working with, they still want to stay anonymous. They don't, they basically don't want us mentioning them in press releases yet because they have a particular brand name and they're creating a new brand entity this year. So hopefully by the summer, they'll be able to give us that brand entity and say, hey, you guys can now, say that we're working on this with this new entity that we have, because they essentially want to keep the AAA brand with AAA games, and they see us currently as a little more like the indie or experimental, and I'll change their mind eventually. One day they'll want us associated with their main brand. But I just wanted to let people know that if they see the little change there with Sam K.A. being displayed on the pitch materials, that is what's up. So I think, unless there's another pressing question, I think I'll open it up for one more possible question if there's one of the questions somebody has. So anybody else have any concern? Concerns are good because then we can help address those to the community. We have Smeek. Wants to speak. Gonna give him the stage. Hello, Smeek.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you great.
Oh, good. Thank you. I was worried about background noise. My question is more or less about advertising regarding YouTube and whether you have thought about going to other more blockchain-based platforms or crypto-based platforms to advertise blockchain kingdoms and the future equity campaign.
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought about Brave recently, actually. This was a thought that struck me the other day. I was like, why haven't I looked into Brave as a as something to advertise on? We know that Gala Games has been using Brave to advertise in their blockchain company. So yeah, I think there are some possibilities that I haven't thought about and that I haven't been looking at. What about you, Smeek? Do you have anything in particular? Any, I don't know, any other blockchain friendly platforms that you might recommend?
Um, I've been on a few, although I haven't been on them recently. One of them is called Float. It's spelled Flote.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's basically a website where, uh, well, I'll just say there are a bit of the more or less right now, a bit of a political ish site, but they also do talk about the blockchain, Bitcoin, and their website is something that, well, you could actually, if you stream on their platform or you make like a good post, I want to say that you would be able to get paid into a non-custodial wallet uh, with cryptocurrency. The only currency they take is Bitcoin at the moment. Um, I've heard of another one. It's called Hive. Uh, they they broke off of Steemit about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on that platform myself, but I I believe that both of those platforms would be very beneficial um, for you guys to advertise on. Ford in particular, because it's more user friendly. I would I would say more user friendly, and you're able to make lengthy posts, and your posts will not get I should say uh, shadow banned is the term, similar to Facebook.
Okay, yeah, Float and Hive. I will look into those. And thank you for bringing that up because it's such a great question. And sometimes, there's only three of us here: me, Josh, and Mark. And sometimes we do get blind spots. And we found your guys' feedbacks invaluable with helping us a lot because there's such a big space, and there's certainly possibilities that we may not be looking at. So we really appreciate you guys for helping us out with that. Thank you, Smake.
You're welcome.
All right, so I think this is the last question we'll take for now. We're always available in the community chat here in Blockchain Kingdoms, and if something strikes you later, you maybe have another concern later, let us know. I'm going to make an official announcement, post it uh, on the page in WeFunder where the updates are. So if there's anything that you need to go back and double check, and you're like, hey, so my money's stuck in escrow, what am I supposed to do again? And you can go and look at that post. You can let WeFunder know that they can exit your escrow. And I really appreciate your guys' support. Josh, the way I look at us is that we're super scrappy. We're very small. We're changing the world with what we're building, and nobody knows it yet. Sometimes we talk to other, developers or entrepreneurs or anybody in the space, and I think like they have no idea that what we're building is going to change the world. I sometimes think of it like like we've our virtual supply chain technology is like we've invented like using light without fire, and then try to explain it to people. Yeah, like we've like Tesla back in the day, trying to show people, yeah, like I made it so you could light a room without fire, and people are like, what is this witchcraft? What's so weird? Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. How do you, this crazy person, think he can create light without fire? But I think that's what we're doing here, and I appreciate all of your support. and in our backers, and just being in our community, and all the information you guys help us out with, and investing in us. So I will let Josh have the floor, and see if there's anything else that he'd like to comment on, and then we'll close it up. Josh.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks everybody for good questions, and I'm sure we'll get more questions, like Robert said. We'll get some good feedback. We're very happy to hear your concerns and recommendations for other ideas. We're open to everything. Like we mentioned, we're looking at Kickstarter, but that's by no means something that we've decided to do. I want to make sure nobody's gotten the wrong idea on that. We're I wouldn't even say we're leaning towards it. Okay, it's just we're trying to make sure we explore all options. So that's the only reason that came up at all. So we're gonna continue doing everything we possibly can do, is what we're going to do, and anything that you think we can do more on, if there's a particular deficiency that you see in us, we would love to hear it. We're open to constructive criticism, or feedback, however you want to angle that, as long as it's constructive. We're very willing to listen, and we're going to do the very best that we can to address any concerns, and to do our best work with your support going forward. I have 4 images for the game prepped. So after Robert writes the announcement in there, I will also release those into the wild so everybody can see. They are 3 pretty much finished concept arts, and 1 GIF that is, kind of gives you kind of a preview of how the animation may work in game. These are just, static, flat images right now. It's a work in progress for getting them into 3D and into the game. Once we have more, we will definitely share. We're very hopeful that we'll have. I mean, we already have a very basic tech demo version of the game. It's by no means like really fun to play yet, because it's pretty bare bones, but things are coming along. We are moving forward, and so everything is going well with the game. So that part is good news, and assuming everything goes according to plan, that should still be good news going forward. I think that's about it.
All right, had to unmute myself there. Yeah, so thank you guys, and I know some of you may be like, hey, this really sucks, what a big setback, so bad for Blockchain Kingdoms, and the way I look at it, like, this only makes us stronger in the long run. I feel like I've learned a really valuable lesson in making sure that we never lose this much, time, work, and effort ever again, and, I think we're just people, and, we're business owners, and in the end, this is just going to make us better, stronger business owners, and it's all going to be good for Blockchain Kingdoms in the end. So thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful night. I appreciate you guys joining me on a Thursday evening, and we'll chat with y'all soon. So thank you so much, and have a good night.